Okay, Travis Wayne Goodsell. Looks like I don't need to go out this morning after all, so I can finish up the sex worker, as she calls herself. Holly Jane is her stage name. Former Mormon, because I saw in the news clips out after, I guess, the Newsweek article that I'm going off of, the church finding out about her news article and other articles came down on her to punish her. 2001 was also when the church excommunicated Natasha Helfer, who said that pornography is not harmful, not even to kids. So that also needs to be taken into the context of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, who has in their temple endowment ceremony text of Lucifer shaming nudity, shaming sexuality, and is the one who told Adam and Eve to cover up and hide so that others can't see. This doctrine somehow got a miscommunication into Mormon practice, as Mormons are practicing the doctrine of Lucifer. And so I'm not going to redo or put in the copy and paste of the previous intro. We're going to redo it here for you, as I'm already redoing it. And so another highlight that I wanted to bring out from the previous introduction is that anciently there wasn't this stigma on the human body. You can see in the art of the ancient world and the classical world and in the Renaissance that the female body specifically, and the male body at times, were personified in the aesthetic fields in all different types of art mediums. And so whenever a new technology comes around, a new art form always utilizes females specifically. So when photography came around, taking pictures of women was among the first. There's a reason for that. And women don't seem to understand it. Women get shamed. And it's sad. I just got news this morning from a week ago, because I don't use my phone. And so I had messages. There's a person that was in my life at one particular point in time who's going to be getting a mastectomy. And I'm aware of the trauma and the total deflation that can cause for a woman. And so, it's a sad situation that has caused lots of problems, especially this year when we've got the Barbie movie coming out, that you get all these little girls of the new generation and all of the grown-up girls of previous generations that all had Barbies. Barbie has been an icon for the feminist movement, even though ultra-Nazi feminists have tried to shame women through Barbie. And so, this whole concept has gotten way out of control, and the church is purposely perpetuating it, and yet you can see the conundrum that they're causing, the catch-22 in Mormonism. And so the ancients not only wrote the human body as part of the language. Look at facsimile number 2. Count the number of peni. That is the plural, isn't it? But Riverton High, when they first had their building built, they wanted to have a mascot, and some people were saying, well, let's make it the Phoenix. And immediately, Mormons went to the gutter and said, well, the plural of Phoenix is similar to penis. It's sickening. You know, even our Governor Cox, people were making fun of his name. And that went on to late night comedy. No, you don't know what late night comedy is? Yeah, it's been gone for a while, and it'll continue to be gone for the rest of eternity, apparently. Now Hollywood's gone, and so no more Barbie. No more television show of Barbie. No more TV this fall. Unless they get Scrubs or do AI. But the one thing you can do to stop these companies from doing that lower quality of work is to protest by not watching. If they're not going to bring back the actors that we know and love, boycott. And so also, the Greeks held Olympics. The Jews were a part of the Olympics. The Greeks were naked. Thus the Jews were naked in the Olympics. Can you imagine that today? Oh no, Mormon housewives not allowing their kids to watch the Olympic Games. But what's interesting is that you can identify a Jew in the Olympics, as the Greeks did. And no, it's not for the curly locks. And so, yeah, the human body has been a part of human culture. And it is only in the modern context since Christianity where it has been an issue. And it's bizarre because it's in the Bible too. It just doesn't have Lucifer saying directly that, hey, you're naked. It was Lucifer who tricked Adam and Eve to partake of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and then they saw they were naked. Whereas in the Mormon temple text, Lucifer says, hey, now that you've eaten of the fruit, look down, you're naked. Cover up, hide. Porn. So, yeah. So let's continue with Holly Jane, as we've in the previous hour video. I went over. Don't take the credit from me, because I've got to get to the Galaxy Guardians of the Galaxy marathon today. So it's a good thing that this is going to be an hour long, and it's a good thing that I don't have to leave this morning. And so NCIS will be put on hold for a day. And so she, in talking about her life exposure to Mormons, growing up as a little girl, I'm able to identify the problems that Mormons caused, the church caused, not only to Mormons, but to Holly Jane as well. And so you have to understand, she's not really a Mormon by conversion or by 8 years old. Her parents brought her in. No, she did it on her own because her peers as a little girl brought her to church. And she was so immersed in church that when she decided in her second marriage that she was lonely, to go back to church and become a member this time, thinking that the friendship that the Mormons had for her as a member would return, and that she wouldn't be lonely anymore. It had nothing to do with a relationship with Jesus. It had nothing to do with a religious conversion, none of that spiritual witness stuff. No, it was she wanted friends, and so she joined the church. And this is the fault of the missionaries. This is the fault of the bishop, and the fault of the ward for the practice of, as she says, if you're a member, they are family. And you can see that more readily in Utah. If you are an active member, you're not causing waves that people record you at the pulpit of conference during testimony meetings. You're family. You can even be a role model. For example, I was a role model outside of Utah in other areas where I was. And then when I come to Utah, no longer a role model. Though there were instances, but yeah, it's more of a competition because of the priesthood rank. And because of the growth population in Utah, rising up in rank is more complicated and difficult. Whereas outside of Utah, it's easier to rise up in rank. And rank has its privileges. Right, women? And so all of this Mormon stuff is unfamiliar to her. And Mormons don't seem to understand this, that people join the church for different reasons, just as people leave the church for different reasons. And because Mormons are not aware of the bigger picture that Holly, gotta get her stage name right, Holly talks about, that she's not a finite, strict, obedient to law person. She looks at the bigger picture and is not obsessed with details in her life. But you can see that she's been lied to, thinking that caffeine and soda pop even is wrong and against the word of wisdom. And so I don't know if she's in Northern California, Oregon, or Washington, because she says she's on the Pacific Coast, North Pacific Coast. But Mormons have been branching out and corrupting Mormons converted in other states and other countries. Because the Southern California Mormons now are transplanted from Utah and have infected the minds of the previous Southern California mindset. If you're familiar with the channel Dodger Dave, I don't know if he goes by Dodger Dave anymore. He's changed it at least a couple of times, I think. He and I, we're Southern Californians. We both love the Dodgers. There's a connection of the type of Mormonism that was had in Southern California. And so when I come to Utah, this is a more extremist version of Mormonism. And Mormons go, yeah, because you're wicked. That's the extremist part. Mormons get very abusive. And so they don't understand here in Utah that this kind of Mormonism is Lucifer's plan of happiness, as perfectly illustrated earlier this year when the Bible got banned and the Book of Mormon was in jeopardy of getting banned. As the Pornhub, I think that's what it was called, had to ban its services here in Utah. There's some weirdness going on with that, but yeah, last I knew, it's still banned in Utah. And so they saved the Book of Mormon, but they're still going after porn. They're just redefining what porn is without telling the community and putting it into law statute. Because if they did, both YouTube and the state of Utah would have to back off. It is in the First Amendment of the United States Constitution to protect art as free expression, freedom of speech. All forms of art, all forms of science, all forms of education are protected in the First Amendment. You cannot make a law that targets something that is protected. Religious freedom, protected. So there's no reason to force another law of religious freedom on top of the religious freedom already given religion. In case you didn't know, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is seeking to overthrow the government through religious freedom movement, among other things. Because these kinds of attacks on our Constitution are a seditious conspiracy to overthrow the government. And the Supreme Court of the United States likewise has protected all forms of art, science, and education. And yet YouTube and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, evangelicals, are rebelling against the law, the court precedent that protects. And so, even more detailed with YouTube, you have YouTube who attacks women who are trying to sell or showcase a company's clothing products, for example. And YouTube goes ballistic. And they can't. They've got to allow women to do this. And fashion companies, fashion designers will be risque and often show body. YouTube cannot block them, ban them, shun them, hinder them in any form or fashion with their algorithms. They've got to give them freedom. YouTube, by being a social media platform, does not have the right to take away other people's rights. Just because they're not a government agency doesn't give them that right. They are for the public use, and as for the public use, they must conform and comply to the government and the laws thereof. And the laws protect all creators' videos. Only what isn't protected are crimes. Pornography, nudity, Sexuality is not a crime unless they're being raped. In that particular case, yes, YouTube should step in and report it to the feds or the police. You don't want to have YouTube be a sex trafficking site. And it's difficult because YouTube's involved in payment. And so, I mean, even with YouTube, they've already told us creators, they forced us to say, I am not doing videos for children. And so thus it's for adults. And so I can't show you women in underwear, for example, like magic underwear, the church's garments. Even though it's germane to the topic of a particular video I do, I can't show women in their underwear because of YouTube and their violations of the law seeking to overthrow the government. And especially my Mormon audience who follow Lucifer. This is extremely frustrating and is the background for Holly. Now that I got that off my chest. Becoming a sex worker later in life. It's what's called a MILF, dear. But as Mormons, we're raised in a bubble world. We're not allowed to see things in the world because we're told it's evil. We are not taught that it's idolatry, which I can go on and on that because that's my field. And so, yeah, growing up in the church, we're attacked. We are abused sexually with miseducation and with the threats. It's just awful. So, here we go. The sex industry was actually something I had thought about since adolescence. And apparently she spelled it wrong. I think there's supposed to be a C after the S. I watched a lot of MTV. I mean, she was up late because that was overnight. But she is 10 years older than I am. Or younger, sorry. And so it probably the 90s generation, maybe. Because I remember it was later in high school when I found MTV and was watching it. Cuts like a knife. As he's diving into a pool with no water. Oh no! And hoping that I get to watch one of Billy Idol's controversial videos. And I don't think I ever did. But they're on YouTube. And saw models like Anna Nicole Smith and Carmen Electra. Yeah, 90s girl. Definitely a 90s girl. Who were also in Playboy. See, I see that she's trying to set it up to blame the culture. She's already blamed the church now. Or is she trying to justify the church? We'll have to see. I was very comfortable with my body and proud of how I looked. And I thought it was glamorous. Yeah, Barbie. That's the whole point of Barbie. Is to help little girls be little girls. And yet you get these feminazis who come in and demand that Barbie needs to change. We're shaming Barbie. So I wanted to do the same. She wanted to do Playboy, huh? Mm-hmm. For the articles? I see that here. She's doing an article, as I have heard. I only know of Playboy for the pictures. Other guys apparently just watch Playboy for the articles. That's weird. What's wrong with guys? But I see this as a Playboy article. I was very comfortable with my body and proud of how I looked. I thought it was glamorous, so I wanted to do the same. My friends thought I was nuts. She's being picked on by mean girls. They're not your friends, dear. So I kept it to myself for many years. Likewise, being born and raised Mormon. But her friends aren't Mormon. So I can relate to this. I have told you in videos, my mom put out the Sears catalog as adolescents. And we were supposed to make collages, cut out pages and pictures of toys and furniture and glue them to a page or tape them when tape became invented. And so that led me to find out that there's a women's section with women's fashion. And yes, underwear and swimsuits too. And even for little girls. The religious community was clamped down on Sears and JCPenney and such for showing underoos and other training bras for little girls, as they violated constitutional rights. But this fascinated me. I liked women. I liked everything about them. You know, I'm watching TV a lot. I see a lot of female characters. And so, yeah, now I'm seeing that there's something secret that they're hiding from me, that they're covering up. And I want to know. I want to partake of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And because of being Mormon, we are shamed. And it's forbidden. And so, yes, I had to keep it a sacred secret too. Super sacred secret. Notice how sacred and secret almost sound the same? It's because they originated from the same word. And so, I can relate to her here. This is the Mormon abuse. This is the church abuse. Obviously, that ambition was derailed because I got married. Really? Did it have to? I understand Stormy Daniels is married. Hasn't stopped her. Plenty of women. The Playboy model was married to Hugh Hefner. So, I don't know what you're talking about, dear. And had a son at 19. I'm going to do it. My sister. I found out in 2007 or 2008 with the Hawaiian Tropic calendar that they put out every year. Desk calendar. Because I'm often at my desk. And so I came up to one particular day, and apparently Hawaiian Tropic holds auditions, and any woman can go and try out. and they'll take your picture, photo shoot, and they use them for the desk calendars. And so amateur women are in the desk calendars, as I would come to find out, because I found my sister in it. In a bikini. I'm like, huh? And you have to understand, while I was on my mission in New York, I got word from my mom that my sister had been in an accident coming back from Las Vegas to Southern California, in which she almost died. It was a constant rollover accident that she was involved in, and her right side of her face into the jaw smashed. She had to have reconstructive surgery to reconstruct her face, and my grandpa Smith had to be called in to fix the jaw. And so she no longer looked the same as she did prior to that. Thus, how I was able to recognize her. It was her pre-accident when she had done it. And so, fascinating. And so she doesn't know I know, and I don't think my dad knows, because he threw everything away of mine in 2008 as the church attacked me. Different story. But, there's my sister's name. Yeah, bizarre. I never got to hold it over her as blackmail. As Tony in NCIS did with Kate. When he went on spring break to Panama. Hilarious. Alright. And I continued having children into my 20s. My husband also wouldn't have approved, as he was more conservative. But he's the one who was not interested in joining the church. That's interesting. See, you're being lied to, women. Books like Women Are From Venus, Men Are From Mars purposely deceive you. They're by psychologists. They're purposely lying and deceiving you, like the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are lying and deceiving you about you and your body. And they're lying to you about men and men's bodies. And so it's just very frustrating, and I'd have to do a whole video explaining sexuality. But then you'll get Mormons commenting, "This is porn!" This is... It's because Mormons aren't taught, and if they're not taught, they then say, well, it must be evil. And so, yes, I wasn't taught sex ed by my school or by my dad. And my dad was Mormon, conservative Mormon, thanks to my mom, who converted him to the dark side of Mormonism. He was a Democrat originally. So anyway, so it was always in the back of my mind, but I didn't push for it. Yeah, this is what's called a fantasy, dear. You had a fetish fantasy to exploit your body. I fully approve. I do not shame. But a relationship is... See, this is where I'd have to explain. As I'm watching NCIS and getting very frustrated. Because people think exposing a woman's body to a man is what triggers his sex drive. No. No. And that's where much of the confusion and problems come from, is not understanding properly. So there's a difference for men than for women, because women receive and it's in them, like their heart and feelings, whereas men, it's out of them. We're done. There's a difference. And understanding that difference will help both sexes understand how to relate with each other. And not demand that he say, I love you. He's with you all the time. He's sacrificing work to be with you, even though he's spying on you to get to your dad, who's a crime boss in the international community. And so, yes, it's a tragic ending, because he technically lied to her about who he is, but didn't lie to her about his feelings for her, even though she forced him to force the feelings out when he was already demonstrating physically his feelings for her. Frustrating. And so she says, I also didn't know where my place in the sex industry was. Yeah, it was still before the internet, and well, yeah, it was beginning, 2000s. Not really. AOL was crap. Let's just put it that way. It was a great idea, but just crap. You don't have to be the best, you just have to be the first. And so then, almost a year ago, in early 2021, this helped set off the church's scarlet letter alert. I was at home watching TV when I saw a news story about a woman known as my sister, Poindexter, whose kids were expelled from their Catholic school because she was outed as being on OnlyFans. It was a life-changing moment. She had talked about the money she was making. Money, 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 money. See, this is where it becomes tricky, because our government has purposely controlled the economy to hurt us and favor corporate business, such that we, if we work for somebody, are slaves to that company because they don't pay us a living wage. And so we need to find other forms of work. You get situations where porn becomes that supplement. And with the internet and webcams, it makes it easier to get into that to make money. But if you're doing it because you're financially struggling, the government then is involved in sex trafficking you. It's the utopian principle, where the government purposely causes the financial conditions of when you're born and as you're growing up, and so then you have the need to survive, for which the government then punishes you, calling it a crime. The Les Miserables is also a illustration of that utopian principle, not just Ever After by Drew Barrymore. So difficult to tell from a viewer's point if what we are watching online are women who are forced by a gang or a mob organization around the world, forcing the girls to exploit their body for money for the gang or the boyfriend or who's ever holding them hostage, and branding them as part of their organization. Or if they are doing it because they're hurting for money, they're college students and they need to pay for their PhD in law, or or to become a doctor, or Miss America, where Miss America will take away your crown because they are seeking to overthrow the government. How dare you flaunt your body when we've already had you flaunt your body in our contests? It's just so screwed up when you violate the law. And so, yeah, to know if a woman is doing it because she wants to do it and has no threats or pressure to do so, there's no way we as a viewer can know. Unless it's blatantly obvious, as you see the boyfriend in gang tats standing behind her with his arms crossed, looking stern, and making comments of what she's needing to do. You really don't see that. At least I haven't, on YouTube anyway. But there are Russian girls on YouTube where I'm very concerned, because YouTube has been posting advertisements about dating Ukrainian and Russian girls. Not appropriate, YouTube. How'd you let that get by you? Oh, they gave you money to advertise? In case you didn't know, Russia is at war with Ukraine because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints used tithing money to pay Russia to cause the war in Ukraine. So, we might have to do a series on this. There are just so many issues that have been bottled up in me. Okay. And she was making, and so my only thought was, wow, what's OnlyFans? I grabbed my phone, heart racing, and subscribed to her to see what it was. I immediately subscribed. So is it you? I was watching TV. I guess she subscribed on OnlyFans. I immediately knew this was what I had been looking for. Yeah, it makes it easy. And so you can see that Holly is not being pressured financially or economically or peer pressured, gang hostage or anything like that. This is something she's been wanting to do because of the oppression and repression of the church that she was influenced to, and her Mormon peers. And yeah, now with the internet, she can now do it. She can be herself and call herself a different name and hide her identity. But yeah, you can see the influence of the religion, of the culture, for women who do this to use stage names. See, it's not like in a strip club where the woman uses a stage name so that the guys watching don't find out her name to track her down and stalk her. And come to her home, trying to ask her out on a date. She has to turn them down. They get angry and then murder her on NCIS. So, yeah. So, early in the summer of 2021, she started building her social media, TikTok, Twitter. She has a YouTube channel, I Love Holly Jane, just in case you were wondering. And I think Facebook also. Posting photos in lingerie and bathing suits. YouTube didn't allow her to, apparently. I only see her in her various dress styles, clothing styles. And they're only shorts. Short videos. Not shorts, but she probably has some shorts. I probably have to go back and look at them again. Because again, YouTube is anti-Constitution, laws of the land. Because I knew I had to create a following. And yeah, I could, if she's listening, I doubt it, but if she gets back, finds out about this, is this far into this video, number 2, I can link you up with a woman who has done better, but she too has been abused on YouTube. And she doesn't use OnlyFans anymore. She tried it, and they betrayed her, but I can link you to her. She will help you out. And she's far more experienced and professional. And she will help you out so that guys like us can watch you. And so that you can know how to charge for viewing. She's better at that too. The next step was making a solo masturbation video. Oh dear. And posting it on a porn site. Really? Which one? Where? It was my first time filming that act, but strangely enough, I wasn't nervous about posting it. Well, yeah, because you're on camera, nobody's in the room seeing you. You just gotta have an artistic concept for what your particular audience likes, and apparently she's doing well, so she doesn't need my advice on what I like for an artistic capture. Because in photography, there are rules, but there really aren't rules. For painting, there are rules, but there really aren't rules, etc., etc., etc. You'd have to know aesthetics, that it's all subjective to understand this. But you first have to learn the rules before you can unlearn the rules. And so, I wasn't nervous about posting it or being seen by the public. Yeah, because you're hiding your name. Nobody knows who you are. I was actually nervous about whether my neighbor, someone from church, the bishop and elders quorum president and all of the elders, or my son would see it. Yeah, those are problems if you don't teach your son proper sex ed, because apparently the men in her life didn't do the job. if she's worried about her son finding out. So, but I was excited because I was getting, we got 10 minutes. Okay, we will try to see if we can get to revealing the truth to family and friends. Oh, that's the end. Oh, let's try to get through this then. Okay. I was excited because I was getting views and my social media was growing. Yeah, I used to know what that was like, YouTube. Bastards. Purposely silencing me so you won't find me. Manipulating their algorithms. But yeah, it's easy. When I talk about porn in the beginning, everybody comes to see what it's about. Looking for pictures, not finding any, disappointed, leave, never come back. So I did it again. Things took off very quickly from there. Yeah, I can see this as I'm looking at women's fashion channels. Individual women like Holly, but not porn because YouTube won't allow it. When a woman does lingerie and sometimes swimsuits, or even a try-on, if her channel is a mixture of different types of subject matters, when they do a try-on, especially when they do a lingerie or a swimsuit try-on, and I can see the women, I can see their response by the follow-up videos. And sometimes it's sad because the girl or woman is surprised by all the attention and you never hear from her again. And I'm concerned, did she get murdered by a stalker? Or is she too embarrassed to show her face again? Did her peers find out at school? Was she teased? And so, yeah, there are some sad situations that I'm concerned about. But then there's others who, like Holly, are confident about their bodies. And yeah, they realize, hey, I'm getting more views. I'm now able to work with a company to help sell their products by modeling their products on my YouTube channel. And so you see the shift. They're no longer talking about multiple subject matters. They've found their niche, criticizing the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Yeah, I can't do other subjects on YouTube because nobody wants to watch. So, and now that I know that the world's ending this year, as, yeah, I want to get to Zion. I am literally run down and trunky with Mormons that are so enraged and so in denial that they just cannot be reached. And wanting Zion to happen, and it can only happen with a trigger event of destruction. And so I have that video also for you. That was the original video I was going to do, going over Mormon chapter 3 verses 11 through 16, somewhat to the end, but okay. So I did it again. Things took off very quickly from there. I also used a site where I could send people underwear. What site? Make videos or send pictures to people and set your own prices. Oh, okay. Sell then, not send. did in all, because you heard what I do for a hobby, women's fashion. So yes, learning about Holly Jane, I did a thorough internet search as far as I could find and obtained as much as I was allowed to obtain. And so, yeah, I am aware of some certain things that I will not tell you about. Then I launched my OnlyFans page in August 2021, and my first month I had made $1,000. Yeah, I see that on YouTube. They try to do videos saying that if they sell for a certain company, that they make so much money. And then I see that they got screwed by the company and problems ensue. I have since doubled the money I make on OnlyFans every month. I probably made close to $100,000 now, and $35,000 of that was in the past month. This was back in 2022, so about a year. Because I'm getting more subscribers. But this is all virtual play. I am not physically involved with anyone. I definitely draw the line there. Remember when I just said I'm aware of certain things that are going on? This is one of them. Holly, you crossed the line. Which apparently was recently since this, which is interesting. But I don't know who he is. You have labeled it's your neighbor, and he's married. So I don't know if that's for show, as often porn is. It's not really their daughter. It's not really the wife. They are actresses. But, interesting. She has now crossed the line. She said it publicly, and I know for a fact, even though I have not seen them, because I have to pay, that she has crossed the line. Interesting. I see myself more as a nude model. Still porn, but again, your definition. There are people who would say that her doing lingerie and swimsuits is porn. All of this is protected by the government, by the First Amendment. And there are enemies seeking to overthrow our government. But I suppose since I sext and make videos on OnlyFans, that makes me an online sex worker. Sure. Depends on how you want to put it in your resume. I always knew this work wasn't acceptable to the Mormon Church. They discourage it. The Nelson Revealed, it brought out the coveted Handbook of Instructions we can all now see. And in there, they say that having sex with your daughter, sex with your sister, sex with underage girls is discouraged, but they will not excommunicate you for it. They will not punish you for it. That's not really the practice, but it's in there, and if your bishop complains about it, point out to him from the handbook to leave you alone. It's wrong. No, crime must be punished, and the church is in hot water, even recently, for covering up crimes of the members, specifically leaders of the church. Frustrating. I always knew this work wasn't acceptable to the Mormon Church, but I feel my spiritual witness tells me that it is true, that it's just the human body. Yeah. If you'd actually read your Bible, if you actually went into the temple, you would know these things. Although obviously around my children and the church, I dress conservatively. Really? I've seen your dresses. They're very nice. If only the older singles ward, or even the younger singles ward, women would wear your kind of dresses, there might be more marriages. The church's problem with singles would be solved. Right, Oaks? Even though my church teaches that God wants you to dress modestly. See, she's still Mormon here. She has not been excommunicated yet. And that a woman's naked body is to be seen by her husband when she's married, not the general public. See, this is part of the paranoia in the church. And even then, there are wives, as I know from experience, who don't even want to show you when you are married. And again, frustration. Women don't understand men. They think if they just cover up, that a man won't sexually desire them. Wrong. I feel that God would want me to be proud of what I have. Me too. The church frowns upon pornography. No, it's again like the incest, rape, and they are discouraging it, but you will not get punished. So show it to your bishop. If you bother to tell them, or if you get caught by your wife, and she provides them with video evidence. Married couples are taught that porn is sinful to look at. Yeah, Holland says you'll die if we look at you, Holly. But apparently, that's not the case, because she's still raking in the dough. So, Holland lied to us? Interesting. The church is lying to us? Interesting. See, this is how you know. By the fruits. And so Mormons think the church is true because the word of wisdom actually is healthy for you. But it's not exclusive to the church. And so again, they're using the fear tactic of evangelicals who caused this in the beginning. Turn of the 1900s, they sued to have the Supreme Court overrule the public school system to teach creationism rather than the science. And they got shot down in flames, and so they went on an idolatrous kick. And pornography was one of their things. They created the word. It's two separate Greek words, has nothing to do with female nudity. But yeah, it does come from the Greeks, where the women were standing before the statues. Prostatue? Before the statue. And so, yes, it was a temple ritual for the Greeks. But that has all been segregated out in a way from its religious significance. And so there's lots to talk about in the Bible that have to deal with this. Fornication, for example. It's not sex with somebody who's not married. Fornication is pornication. Sex with a prostitute. Where were we? And is not healthy to view. Yeah, this is why Natasha Helfer got excommunicated and fired. It is healthy. It's not harmful. And the church went on a full-on weaponized attack. But you can see, this is what Mormons have been told and have been indoctrinated with. And it caused the banning of the Bible. I think these ideas are what society, church, and religion are teaching. Yeah. Church and religion are the same, dear. And it comes from psychologists who are helping to perpetuate it, to divide and conquer America. Church is overthrowing America. You aren't listening to me, listen to her. Read between the lines of what's behind the scenes here that I've been telling you. I don't think that is what God wants. It doesn't matter. Don't use God as your justification. And believes, and I don't believe that God, who I have a relationship with, not the Mormon God apparently, has an issue with what I am doing. So yeah, her spiritual witness said it's okay. Oh no, it conflicts with other Mormons and the church. Who's right? Whose spiritual witness is right? What do we do? Is there any kind of physical manifestation measurement that we can use? Nope. Then I guess we have to dismiss it all as art. And that's how I rationalize it. Mormons are going to attack you on this. You're just trying to rationalize sin. You're trying to justify not being judged for your wickedness and whoredoms. That's why you need to be removed from the church and removed from our family. If you're not an active member, you're not part of the family. To me, men and women have sexual desires that they enjoy exploring. Oh, you're so cute. And the desire to look at nudity is normal and natural. Yes, especially when it's forbidden. Everyone at church asks how work is all the time, and I will say it's great. But nobody knows what I'm doing. Oh, they know, dear. That's why they ask. They just can't tell you because their wife is next to them. I have a couple of friends in the Mormon church who do not attend the same ward as I do. It's because they aren't getting any in the marriage. And so, yes, women, if you are mean and abusive to your husband, he has to go somewhere else. I have talked to them about it, and their response was, oh boy. Their concern for me is when the church finds out there could be an investigation. Our investigation is ongoing. And my ward would be contacted. They could say that my behavior doesn't reflect the church and withdraw my membership. The terminology for excommunication. I see it as not if, but when. Vincenzo Di Francesca. He's talking about the Book of Mormon to his Catholic leaders, and they're wanting him to burn the Book of Mormon because it's evil. It's taking him away from the church. And so he's saying, I will not burn the book. Just put porn in there in its place. It's the same concept. You know that, let's see, perhaps they don't condone. See, I'm interested in what will happen. Let's see. I see it not if, but when someone discovers the work I am doing. So I decided I was going to share my story. Good, you got ahead of it. And it's what caused you to... I feel that perhaps when there may be pressure not to ask me to leave the church, people who are members don't really talk about the church. So I don't think they like the publicity. Yeah, because it's always negative press. Bishop raped little girls in his ward. Mormon couple murder their kids, sentenced to life in prison. Former Mormon, kidnaps Mormon girl, sex traffics her to California, rapes her, gets her pregnant. Yeah. Ted Bundy murders little girls. And then FBI director Fornell took him down. People who are members don't talk about the church. Yeah, outside of Utah especially. When we're not in church, we're not talking about church. It's life normally. That's church is a Sunday thing outside of Utah. Only in Utah do you see more of a comfortableness of talking about church-related matters in the public realm. Will they make an issue of this or think about acceptance and allow me to be myself and stay? Yeah, you got your answer. I'm interested in what will happen. Perhaps they will say they don't condone what I'm doing, but that I am still a member of this church and ask that I think about repentance and consider not continuing the path I'm on. And it's possible that she crossed that line because the church came down hard on her and excommunicated her. I see that a lot. That because of the church's response to people of a non-issue, they make it an issue, and the person then goes to the extreme, crosses lines they would have never crossed had the church not stopped them. For example, with me, I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew. I thought, awesome, Joseph Smith is a translator. The church needs to know about this. Oops! I was treated as a terrorist, indefinitely detained for 6 years of my life. They still, to this day, have been hunting me down to murder me. Because I keep doing YouTube videos exposing their crimes, corruptions, lies, deceptions, seditious conspiracies to overthrow the government and restore their kingdom of Zion. None of this would have been happening had the church just left me alone in the beginning. But because the church is who they are, they couldn't. And so thus I am. Thus she is. And she crossed the line. Or it could go the other way, I'm not sure. I also think I need to be an example. I am probably the only active Mormon nude adult model. Nope. I know of 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 other women that I know of. There are others who are not models, but had photos leaked. 2 of them were missionaries, sister missionaries. but it is hard to find. Mormon women typically don't expose themselves, or at least let it be known that they're exposing themselves. There could be lots of Mormon women who are exposing themselves but are not announcing themselves as Mormon, which if they did, they would get more exposure because men are looking for certain topics, fetishes. You'd get more money from people who will pay. Let's see. But what about other people in the community that don't feel comfortable or have a place because they are divorced? Been there, done that twice. I was divorced. I didn't get a divorce. Dating someone who is a non-member, or they are a member of the LGBTQ community. All of those people still have the faith. No, they don't. It's a different interpretation. You have a different Jesus and still have the same core beliefs. No. You change the interpretation of how the religion is supposed to be, you change your Christ. When you change your Christ, you change your religion. And so, yes, Mormonism is more fractured than Mormons realize, than the prophets realize. They may still want to attend, but have decided not to because they don't feel comfortable or were pushed out. I want to publicly challenge that. And you're booted out. Good job. So yeah, the majority of active membership is way low. Excuse me. In 2016, the church came out to say that children of same-sex couples could not be baptized, though they did reverse it in 2019 and say that gay marriage was no longer an act of apostasy, it is still a transgression. Yeah. The church was pulling a con. Good job for recognizing it. I'm trying to get Mormons to understand this with the temple endowment changes. Mormon women still have to obey their husband, and they don't see it. Especially, they hold the same stance on LGBTQ people. They haven't really moved forward. The church doesn't have to. As a religion, they're protected. But when they go to the government demanding that everyone outside of their religion also practice their religion, that's where the church is going too far. They're crossing a line that they are not legally allowed to cross, Oaks. Mr. Prosecutor, Supreme Court of Utah. One thing the Mormon preaches is love and acceptance. That was Joseph, dear. This is not his church. They've misinterpreted Joseph's words. They step up in many ways, but I think they should step up and show complete love and acceptance for all those that want to attend. Ain't gonna happen. They're a white supremacist, Christian nationalist, seditious conspiracy, terrorist organization. Criminal terrorist organization. Alright, the final countdown here. We'll get it before an hour and 30 minutes. And part 3 should be on its way if it's not already here. So I'm way behind. I have 2 other friends. Well, this is revealing the truth to friends and family. She says, I have 2 other friends who I have talked to, and they weren't surprised. Yeah, we knew you were a whore. They're not your friends. They basically said that it's not for them. But they love me anyway. Yeah, as long as you change, you can be a part of their family. But the only child of my 4 that knows currently is my daughter. She is 13. And so I'm getting flashbacks of House episodes. came to me after school and told me that her friend, she's 13, remember? Her friend had somehow found her TikTok and Instagram and saw that she had an OnlyFans page. Yeah, 13-year-olds, they're not sexually active yet. I had to explain in terms that were age appropriate. Oh my God. Again, she has not been taught sex ed. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints did not teach her sex ed. Her society and government did not teach proper sex ed. Social media is not allowing proper sex ed. And so she, too, by having that ignorance, is now not teaching sex ed to her kids. Because she thought I recruited nurses. Oh, that's so cute. I think there's a fetish for that, isn't there? Maybe she can consider doing a nurse uniform. She was a bit embarrassed, but she's fine with it now. Are you sure? Because you were sure that your husband was fine with going to church. I explained to her by asking her if she knew what Playboy was and what she thought of it. No, wrong argument. This is where you need to sit her down and say, your body is going through some changes right now for the last several years that I've neglected to tell you about. And guys have this kind of biological response. She said she didn't really think it was a big deal. And it's not until you make it a big deal. And then porn picks up on it and goes, hey, religion is calling this taboo. That's a perfect name for our video. And so yes, the porn industry is the porn industry because of evangelicals calling it porn. And the porn industry is making multi-billions. A lot less than what they used to be making before the internet. I will need to explain to my son. Yeah, this is dangerous. She's a mother, widowed. Her son, I'm not sure his age. Yeah, I don't see an age for him. I'm guessing he's younger than 13. Or no, he's the 19-year-old, isn't he? Or when she was 19. So, I'm not wanting to do the math. So, it's going to be difficult because sex ed has long passed. So how does he tell mom when he's probably already seen porn videos about mommy sex? And if she finds out. So yeah, I just got a Weeds flashback. Mary Louise Parker with Weeds. There was an episode dealing with that uncomfortable situation. But he will understand. No, you can't say he'll understand. Don't put your feelings, beliefs, interpretations in the mind of other people. He is pretty conservative. Yeah, he's not going to understand, dear. But if I explain it in ways he can understand, see, this is a woman's thinking process. And they don't communicate it with men. And they just expect that when they tell a man the conclusion, that he will say, oh, yes, because if I were to think of it in your terms, you would probably have gone through all of this. No. No. Because a man doesn't think like a woman. have to show your work. You have to show the math problem out in full. Then the man can review it all. And then he can pick it apart and say, get a different photographer. I think you will be okay with it. Okay is capitalized. No, dear. With the amount of money I'm currently making and the potential to make more, my kids will be just fine with it, I think. I have set a goal that I'm going to do this for 10 years. Really? There's a genre for every stage of a woman's life. Every type of woman, every activity of a woman, or a woman doing men's activities, or etc., etc., etc. Don't limit yourself, dear. But I guess if you're making enough money for you, yeah, there's really no need to make more money. Like Bezos at Amazon. You know, he's got the penis shaped on the box. He's making enough money, I guess, so that when his wife divorced him, he was okay giving away half of his money to her. And so, yeah, he doesn't care to run his business to make even more money. Disney, they don't care to make more money. They're happy with the money they're making, screwing people over and putting in phallus symbols in their videos for little kids. And so she says, I'm 39 now. Yeah, like I said, she's 40. I knew from her site. And I have friends in the industry. Social internet friends. Because this is not like a porn set. This is from her home. Who are 60 years old. I think that's amazing. But personally, I would rather lie on the beach at that age. They have to make money. There are different reasons why people do it. And unfortunately, when it has to do for financial struggles, the government's responsible and needs to fix the problem and not murder people or lock them in jail or make a law that forbids it. And so, yeah, I think what she also doesn't understand is that in the industry is that they tend to friend other people so that they can see your site. Because apparently I have to pay to get access to her site. And then I have to pay her additional money to watch her videos. Very frustrating. Let's see. Of course, there's a huge financial motivation, but apparently you're not considering making millions, if not billions, dear. Like I said, go to the other woman. She'll help you with this. But you got to go through me. Because I want to protect her from YouTube. I've talked about her on YouTube before, and YouTube attacked her. Probably from the narcs on my channel. But as a mom, my kids are the most important thing to me. They will grow up, they will leave the home, maybe. But even if they don't, they're on their own. You need to let them go. So you need to consider, what are you going to do with your life when they're gone? And yeah, she wants to be on the beach at that age. Being able to spend time with them and control their lives the way God wanted. My schedule is very important to me. Even though I worked from home before, I didn't have enough flexibility. If I need to take my children somewhere, I need to be able to drop what I'm doing. Keep the towel on, dear. Don't expose your kids without asking for permission. I can create content when I want to, and I'll often work during the day because I have a part-time nanny. She can afford a nanny now. Good for her. But apparently there's a guy in her life, and apparently he's the next door neighbor, if that's the case. She does seem naive. She may be using actual titles. You're not supposed to, dear, but since she does use a fake name, she likely knows about this too. Then from 3 p.m. to 7, don't get that detailed with your life, dear. You will have stalkers. I'm with my kids because the little 13-year-olds already know about it. And not looking at my phone, I get to put them to bed or go to their concerts. That to me is very important. Yeah, we got it. You love your kids. And widowed, divorced. I'm used to divorced, not widowed with kids. So I don't know per se, but she is one that conforms to divorced with kids. Yeah, they claim that too. So they justify not getting in relationships because of it. And so if they had a man in their life, yeah, he could help with the kids. But it's difficult because they're not his kids. So problems ensue. I'm the happiest I've ever been. Yeah, keep telling yourself that, dear. Maybe you'll believe it. I'm finally doing what I want to do, and I have more confidence than ever before. I feel like I'm finally alive. And then you got excommunicated and you crossed that line with another guy, apparently your neighbor.